Wow, there are so many. There are quite a few, actually quite a few good ones too. So what do I suggest to students in terms of, first of all, in terms of auditioning? First of all, always audition with what you can actually sing, not with what you hope to sing someday. If that's the same, that's great. But it's not, I do not need to know notes you don't know how to sing when I'm hearing an audition. That doesn't help me. That means I can't put you in, really. Is that what you want me to know? You want me to know what it is you can sing well. It may not be the biggest role, but it may be a really good role. Now, in terms of summer programs, there are so many. My thing about a summer program is you have to look at a few things. Price, obviously. Is it in Canada, is it outside of Canada? Or as like say in Italy, I've been to Italy and Brazil and of course in America and in Canada and been at programs. I think that what I suggest to students, depending on their level of expertise when they go to a program, I think having voice lessons at a program, doesn't have to be one every day or something of that nature, but having a certain number of voice lessons at a program is very, very important. Because someone needs to watch out for your voice as it develops. Just going out to sing, I'll talk like a baritone, so just going out to sing the role of Guglielmo in Così fan tutte, and not have anybody watch how I'm doing technically, vocally, is really, really taking a chance, in my opinion, and you're asking me what mine is. However, it could be that, for instance, the program costs half of what one is where there is voice lessons. Well, you have to, that may play into it, because I really believe that programs are way too expensive now. In fact, I can tell you, I went to one summer program. I had a grant though to go, so it's not like I wouldn't have gone otherwise. I simply had no money. And I think carefully thinking about going to one or two now, if it's professional things you're aiming at, is important. I do think it's important for young singers to go to Italy to a program, or go to Italy to travel, but seriously try to feel what it is about the Italian language and the Italian culture that affects how Puccini wrote his operas. Nowadays, it's so different because the world's such a homogeneous place. It's probably better to take a program. Years ago, it was a little different in Italy. When I went to Italy in 1979, I went on my own. I had a coach arranged for me. His name was Alfonso Siliotti. He had been Marilyn Horne's coach, and he had been the first chair in the violin section of the La Scala Orchestra for many years. He was retired, and he also played piano very well. And he was quite wonderful. He only spoke Italian. He may have spoken some English, I don't know. He certainly didn't speak any English to me. But he was wonderful, and I had to either sink or swim. So I swam. And I went on my own, and I took the bus for 45 minutes each way to get to his place to go coaching. To coach each day. He was out in the suburbs of Milan. And it was a very, very good experience for me. Very, very lonely. I certainly didn't party because there were no colleagues. I was alone. However, I was forced to order my food. I afforded to make terrible mistakes when I bought groceries because I didn't know how to ask for them properly. I made some very funny ones, great stories with that. And it was very good. Now I think it's important though, I really felt the Italian language when I came back. I had already sung in Italian, I knew about how to do it. People didn't realize I didn't speak any. But by the time I came back, I had a real knowledge of the Italian language and particularly how it's used by Italians. Because if you don't really go for your espresso in the morning when you're in the metro in Milano, you don't get one. People just push past you and get it first. So you have to, hey, prego, signore! I mean, loud, be there, or go home. So, I mean, we're talking about commuters, and it's quite different. So I will say one quick one. So when I came back from being in Italy for 6 months, I had been at McDonald's all over Europe, they're all there too, so at that time I'd go for what I call North American food. But I came back and I went into a McDonald's in St. Catharines, and because I grew up in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and I went to the McDonald's in St. Catharines, and I came up to the counter and said, "Oh, Big Mac, please!" And they all jumped back. They went, "Sir, what would you like to order?" And I suddenly had to become Canadian again. So that's when I realized that you want to get something done, you do it. So that's very valuable. I think that given those criteria, and I do think voice lessons are extremely important. First of all, because the first thing to listen for in an opera singer, somebody who is going to sing opera at an opera company, is can they sing it? Then it's very important how you look, how you deliver, and those things. And along with singing comes language. I should even say that That's what I assume along with singing comes language. Because if you can sing really, really beautifully, if your talent is horrendous, they can't put you up there. So when you're auditioning for something, a specific role, you have to look at what do they need to hear from me, not what do I want to sing. They could be the same thing, but that you may need some advice for. Also, another thing that I think is important is check who's doing it. Have they done opera? Or are they simply coming in and hey, this is important, I believe it's important, that's why I'm saying it. Or they just come out of academia, but they actually really haven't done very many operatic performances in their life with a professional company. What are you aiming for? You get the most effective, probably blunt, but take it or leave it, advice from someone who's been out in the business. It was the advice I got when I was coached, and it was the best advice I ever had. In fact, I keep saying that they gave me a career. Well, of course they didn't, and they said that, no, your voice gave you a career. I said, well, that could be. But without that proper advice, I wouldn't have known how to behave, how to act, and what was expected of me by conductors. It's very important. Opera is similar to all other music and how it's presented and how the audience hears it, vocal music. But there are special things about opera which a young singer needs to learn. So going to a program, you need to know, is there someone there who can give you that information? If there isn't, well, you might go anyway. But if it's half price and another place has those people, that might be why it's more at the other place. Duh, I like to say, because that's really an important part of the business. Sometimes you get what you pay for. I don't think that the quality of the costumes or the sets are the be all and end all. I think it's important, I think it's nice, it's exciting. But what's the most important is, do you get really good coaching from people who really know it? Do you get some voice lessons just to keep track of what you're doing? And then what are the productions and the production values? You should be doing a whole opera the same as you do on a real professional stage with an orchestra. A reasonably good orchestra, hopefully one that's played some opera in the past. So of course the COA and ADO, the programs here, COA is more of I would say a junior program compared to ADO. ADO, as I understand, I haven't been there, but ADO, as I understand, they have orchestra, they do production, so on. I know all that. And COA is more lessons and movement and scenes. I think that's a very good way to start to do, so you don't spend too much money when you get your feet wet. I didn't have that kind of time, so I didn't do that. But I think it's important. I think that's a good program for that, and there are voice lessons. I know because I've taught at it quite a few times. I think every time actually. But I do believe, I know it's more expensive and it's a bigger commitment for those who are doing those programs. So I don't blame them when they don't do it, but I just say to my students, I think it's important. My students have in any case gone to programs where they don't have voice lessons because there was a scholarship involved, or they just simply don't have the money. But I know that there are students who did extremely well. For instance, I've also worked at the program called La Musica Lirica in Italy, where all that is there. I both taught voice there and directed operas. And students who have gone there really got some incredible experiences and somebody to watch over them. I wasn't the only one teaching by any means. And I think that's important. There's also the Canadian programs. There's the one in Edmonton, Opera Nuova, Uta, Opera on the Avalon in Newfoundland, in Halifax there's the program. Gosh, how many others, I don't even know. There's a whole bunch, but you gotta be really careful. Sometimes that it's a make-work project for those involved. That's not where I would send my students. And I'll tell you what my criteria is for that. If I had a son who was interested in opera or a daughter, I will tell students to go to a program if I would have sent my own kids. Otherwise I won't tell them to go. I won't tell them not to. I haven't done that. I don't want to do that. I will say I don't think that program is really that great. It looks great on paper, but they may overwork you, make you too tired or something like that. And that's not really useful for the voice. I don't have to find out that if I sing too many hours in a day, my voice is sore at the end of the day. I don't know what you learn by doing that, because I'll tell you right now, that does not happen in the professional world. The hardest work I ever did was either at a summer program or as a young artist. Since then, it was all about giving me enough time to rest, do a great job, and do the leading roles, be that in Toronto, San Francisco, Vancouver, New York, or wherever I've sung, or in Europe. You get time. It's crucial that when you get on stage, you can really sing. And if you're overtired, you can't do your best. So I think it's important that you get that information at a program too. It's just important. But there's a lot of choices, almost too many. And I will say, and this is really important for this kind of a situation where there's a blog. I don't think it's necessary to go more than twice anywhere. If it's necessary to go more than twice, it means that the ones you've gone to weren't very good, because you should have enough information by then. After that, you should coach privately during the summer and save yourself a pile of money. And I have told this to students for years and years, and very few of them have taken me up on it. I say, fine, doesn't matter to me. I'm not doing it for the money in any case in the summertime. They're not going to pay me what I'm going to get paid as a full professor at a university. I'm perfectly aware of that. But I think it's a much, much better way for them to do it. I'll make the commitment to students if they make the commitment to me for the time period. Otherwise, I won't do it. A lesson in June and a lesson in July and a lesson in August is not a summer program. But if you go for 2 weeks intense work, you can really grow. And if you're just having a voice lesson and some work with a pianist, you can do that for $1,000. Whereas going to another program somewhere can cost you, especially in Europe, can cost you $6,000 or $7,000 before it's over. Good if you have it, because I never did anything that cost me that much money. When I went to Europe and studied, I had a kind of council grant. I was very fortunate. But past that, I mean, man, kids are borrowing money for university and then borrowing money for summer programs. A little bit may be okay, but don't forget, we're still musicians. And the payback could happen, but it's not going to happen as easily as it is if you go to medical school or to law school or in many other areas. So summer programs are important. They don't need to be overdone. And I'll say again, I do think that voice lessons are an important part of it.